y'all, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I know it's been a minute, so I figured I'd hop on here and do a chit chat with you guys. If this is your first time here, hey, welcome to the family. If you are returning, what's up? All right, so it's morning. I'm drinking my smoothie. I'm on a health kick, and that kind of flows into what we're going to talk about today. So today I want to sit here and I want to discuss with you guys about the importance of healing, but not just the importance of it, but the ugliness of that thing. A lot of times we say, oh, I want to heal from my childhood trauma. I want to heal from an abusive relationship. I want to heal from a toxic parent. But we don't realize, baby, healing is work. And it's draining. And it's tough, and I'm telling you from personal experience, you want to quit over and over and over and over. Toxicity seems more reinforcing when you're accustomed to it and when you know what to expect from it. Now, let's hop into it. What y'all eating for breakfast? Talk to me in the comments below. Casual conversations, or you can comment on what we're about to talk about as well. All right, let's get into it. Healing. As we all know, for the human psyche, it is important to be able to heal, move on, move past things. When we experience traumatizing things, there are things that trigger us. There are situations, people, environments, smells, sounds that will bring us back to the space that we were in before, make us upset, make us frustrated, which these are all natural, healthy emotions, by the way, when you've been wronged in some type of way or experienced something traumatic. But something called PTSD or PTSD. Now, with PTSD or post-traumatic stress disorder, there are things that trigger you. You have flashbacks, experience anxiety and depression as a side effect. Well, I do. When I'm speaking of myself, my experience, my diagnosis. So, what I learned in my healing journey was the importance of getting a diagnosis, seeing a mental health professional to figure out what is going on with you. If you have experienced trauma, I highly recommend that you seek professional help. And that professional help will give you, if necessary, a diagnosis. I know in our community, you know what I'm saying, the Black community, we fear those labels. But I have learned in my journey to use these labels to figure me out. And I'm not saying that this label, the PTSD, the depression, the anxiety, defines who I am, but it labels something that is going on with me at this time. That label enables me to be able to work with my tribe, so my friends, my family, mostly, mental health professionals, even my primary care physician, to get things flowing. Or post-traumatic stress disorder. PTSD has different symptoms. It rears its head in different ways for different people depending on your experience. Anything that I talk about is going to be based off of what I've experienced. I am not a doctor. I'm not a mental health professional. I am simply somebody who knows what life with PTSD is like. Surviving life after the trauma. Becoming a queen after the trauma. So that kind of jumpstarts this first point that I want to touch. I want to talk about the importance of seeking mental help. Going to a licensed mental health professional, working with your doctors to figure out what's going on. And not for the sake of being diagnosed, getting a label, but to be able to identify what is going on so that you can know, where do we go from here? I noticed in my healing journey before, obviously I knew I've experienced trauma, I'm having side effects of this trauma. But when I figured out what exactly was going on, next steps was, how can I do things to reduce my episodes? Diet is one of those ways. Being able to eat healthy, take vitamins, influences, for me personally, my mindset. It's helped in my healing process. So I highly recommend seeking a diagnosis for constructive reasons, to work on these things, to work through these things. Now, after you get that diagnosis, it doesn't make things easier. It just gives you a flashlight in the dark, so to speak. But the real work begins when you decide, hey, I want to figure out what's going on with me, but not just figure it out, but work through, push through, not just go through life, but glow through it. Now, healing is ugly, like I've said before. I know y'all know it too, if you're healing from anything. I want to talk about celebrating the ugly, celebrating the scars, celebrating the rough moments, the hiccups, the small wins. Now, when I use the word celebrate, I don't want to say like, yay, we've been through trauma, but we need to be able to push, go through, sit in it, feel it. And those are not always comfortable things to do. They're not always convenient things to do at the time. But let's talk about it. Let's just be transparent. So you can pause the video, think to yourself, jot it down in your journal, or if you got somebody that you're watching this with, y'all can talk about it. But I want to first take a moment before we hop into this conversation. Just silently think to yourself everything that you survived. And don't think about those trying moments. Think about the fact that you and me, we made it through. So I'm going to give you a second to think about that as I reflect. So now that you've reflected over your life, your experiences, the things that you have overcome, the hurdles that you have hopped over, I want to first tell you it is okay not to be strong. We're always told to be strong, get over it, push through it. But I'm telling you, as somebody that's on this healing journey with you, somebody that has been on this journey for a while now, sis, bro, it is absolutely okay. It's okay not to be strong. I know that's not something that we hear often. We're told, move on, push through, get over it. I'm sure you've heard all of these things before, but I'm here to tell you it's okay to put the strength card in your back pocket. It's okay to have that moment where you just break down and feel. Because I'm telling you, feeling the effects of what you have been through is going to help you. And I say this in a hesitant manner, not because I don't believe what I'm saying, but I know that you may not, because you're in the midst of something, believe what I'm saying. So I'm telling you that feeling that pain, those emotions, that frustration, that anger, that sadness, feeling like you were abandoned, like you weren't protected, like you were not valued in that moment, it is okay to feel that. I challenge you, honestly, to sit in it. Sit in it for a minute, but don't stay in it. But sit in it for a minute and think about the emotions that are triggered as you're going through this journey. Now, while you're doing this, I'm going to say, think that you need to do this with a mental health professional to assist, because everybody is different. Everybody responds to things differently. But you can do things like guided meditation. That is something that I worked with my therapist on, to sit, just calmly sit, breathe, and let thoughts come. Let those feelings come. But the key thing that she had taught me was not to just let it come, but let it go. A lot of times our pain not only comes from what we've been through, but not experiencing those feelings, so causing internal trauma, emotional trauma, spiritual trauma, mental trauma. And then not only going through that pain, but number two, giving yourself permission to feel that pain, because your body is going to have effects regardless to if you cognitively or consciously tell yourself, I'm going to have a moment to consciously breathe, think and feel. Now, once you make that conscious decision to feel, it allows things to flow more organically and opens up that door for healing. So, feel. Feel whatever you feel in that moment. Being the strong person, the strong friend, the strong family member, highly overrated and extremely toxic. We all are human beings. We all have emotional capacity. That emotional capacity is positive sometimes it's negative, based off of what is going on. Since we are talking about trauma, your response a lot of times is going to be negative emotions because you have been treated in a negative manner. So feel those things safely. That's my first suggestion. After you feel those things safely, 2, be real about your experience. This is something that I had to take the lenses off, take the blinders off. Your experience, you need to remove your blinders and be real about what happened. A lot of times, as people that experience trauma, we blame ourselves. We say, well, if I wouldn't have never talked crazy to him, he wouldn't have never slapped me. Or for women that have experienced sexual assault, oh, if she'd had a dress on, he wouldn't have been looking at her like that and she wouldn't have had that outcome. These are things that society tells us. But I'm here to tell you, it's not your fault. Whatever you have been through is not your fault. You did nothing to deserve what you have been through. Period. I don't care what anybody else has told you. I don't care what you have told yourself through that negative self-talk. It's not you, baby. And that's what you need to realize. You need to take those blinders off. I like to call them trauma blinders. A lot of times when we experience trauma, we begin to view the world in a warped and wilted way based off of our trauma. And a lot of times we learn this victimhood mentality, and we operate through life by feeling like we attract these things or we create these issues for ourselves. Something else that I have noticed with me and my response to trauma is going back to those blinders. A lot of times when I encounter people, whether it be a friend, a significant other, a stranger, they may trigger something that looks like what I have been through before. But I put these blinders on and I tell myself, oh no, that's not what it is. I ignore those red flags. And now I'm in a space where I don't have time to walk around with blinders on. I'm taking them off because I am healing. So I need to feel what I have been through, feel how that has affected me, and then I need to remove those blinders. Finally, after you feel, you remove those blinders, you need to be able to have a safe space. Now, this safe space is outside of therapy. It's outside your mama, your daddy, your sister, your brother, your cousin. because you need to be able to safely release and unpack. Because you can let these things go all day long, but there's a healthy way to do everything. I cannot walk around and say, I've experienced trauma, so I'm going to scream and holler at everybody that I see. I'm going to fight you. I'm going to throw this at you. I'm going to curse you out. I'm going to make you feel bad about yourself. No. That's my trauma talking. And I'm not looking down on anybody that's done that. I've done that. That was what I did in the past. And I have done. So I get it. But we need to be able to safely feel. Now, when you safely feel, for me, my method to safely feel is journaling, prayer, and therapeutic outlets as far as the deep breathing. That's therapeutic for me. So, with that being said, that safe outlet is going to be imperative. I recommend that everybody find something outside of their safety net, which, like I said, family, therapist. You have to be able to do things yourself, and part of healing is learning self-regulation. So a lot of times these can be different things. Your space can be something that you could take with you everywhere that you go. So my deep breathing, I'm always with me, so I can always breathe. Journaling, I keep a journal in my purse, and if I need to pop it out, jot something down, it's there, or I do it in my phone. Those are things that are not controlled by the environment. Your therapist is not always going to be available. Your mama is not going to always answer the phone. I know these are disheartening things. You don't want to hear them, because once you get into that healing flow, you are comfortable with who you are healing with, or who is assisting you on this journey, I should say. But you have to be able to do it for you. The goal is for you to become independent in your healing. That safe space is going to create that independence, and it's also going to give you the tools that you need to be able to use that later in life, because we're always going to be affected. We're always going to be triggered. It may not be trauma induced. It could be something day to day, but you still need to know how to cope. So with that being said, I want you guys to remember the importance of the 3 things that we discussed. So you got to feel it. You need to also have that safe space. I'm telling y'all, safe space. It's just in my spirit to repeat that to you guys again. Safe space. Heal. Feel. Have a safe space. Thank you so much for tuning in to my YouTube channel. Thank you for joining me for this discussion on healing. I know it's not easy, but it's possible. Leave comments in the comment section. Like, comment, subscribe. All of my information will be in the description box below. Thank you so much. Love you guys. Bye.